Another bantamweight beef brisket. It's a Tucson tussle with Casey Kenney taking on Dominick Cruz. I don't know if he'd quite be the first guest for the podcast, but there's no denying Casey Kenney is a super well-rounded MMA fighter and truly gets a chance of a lifetime against who many call the greatest bantamweight of all time, Dominic the Dominator Cruz.
You skate off on split decisions, Dominic, and you call yourself the Dominator. Split decisions.
Casey Kenney is a guy who is seemingly getting better every single fight. Remember, this was a dude who was an LFA double champ at 125 and 135. I don't know how the heck this guy ever made 125 when he's had issues making 135, but he won that belt by beating Brandon Royval, who's massively talented, and then went on to win the bantam strap by KOing Vince Cachero shortly after. And since then, he's 5-1 in the UFC. His one loss coming against the Machine, Merab Dvalishvili. And that fight was competitive, too. Merab the Machine is just too cold, though, diving headfirst into a frozen lake. Kenny has nice UFC wins over Manny Bermudez, Luis Smolka, and Nathaniel Wood, but this is his highest level test with this matchup against the fellow Tucson, Arizona fighter, who you got to imagine probably had some sort of influence on Casey Kenney's MMA trajectory. It's interesting, though, because we're 3 months away from June 2021, and Dominick Cruz hasn't had a victory since June of 2016, almost 5 years, and Casey Kenney is 12-2 in that same span. Granted, most being outside the UFC, but an interesting nugget nonetheless. Who you got in this one? Is there a new bantamweight king in Tucson, Arizona, and Casey Kenney gets himself into title shouting range, or is it a levels test and Dominick Cruz comes back rearing for a third run at gold?
Yeah, this is an amazing fight. I love that the matchmakers made this such a good comeback fight to get kind of Dominic back on his feet, but also a levels test for Casey to see is he ready for that next level, which he might be. And it is a battle of the Dirty T, Tucson, Arizona. But as you can see, fighting out of San Diego, California, and then still Tucson. So Casey's still repping it hard. He is a true Tucson, Arizona guy. I mean, when you hear him talk and you hear Dominic talk, you can tell Casey's from Tucson. But I gotta go with Dominick Cruz because, I mean, a few things. I think Dominick Cruz is one of the best fighters of all time, and he's such a weird stylistically fighter that I don't think Casey has ever seen or really is going to be ready for this style. It's like only C4 and people at that level can really handle him, I truly believe. So I'm going to have to go with Dominick Cruz on this one, the Dominator. Yeah, and then Casey kind of just rubbed my meat the wrong way. He was on the podcast with Sugar Sean and just saying kind of some stuff that I just didn't really approve of or really liked. So I'm just like, I don't know about this guy. So I'm kind of rooting for Dom, even if he is not the favored by the majority, but it does look like people are favoring him. So I'm happy about that, and I'm going with the Dominator.
Yeah, some questionable comments in that one for sure, but this one's super fascinating because if you look at the odds, it's basically a pick 'em, but minus 130 for Casey Kenney to plus 110 Dominick Cruz. But Tapology sees it kind of the contrary. They have 72% going with Cruz, a majority of it being beige. I think he's going to get done by decision. 28% going with Casey Kenney, and they also think of the 28% that his path would be decision as well. I'm going to go with Casey Kenney in this one. I think that the Dominick Cruz style of fighting at this division, I don't think it's going to work anymore. I think Dominick Cruz is the old tricks that he used to get away with just aren't going to be enough in 2021 in this UFC stacked bantamweight division. Because I love Dominick Cruz, respect to an OG and to a true legend, but I think Casey Kenney is going to find a way to maintain that pressure. I don't think Dominick Cruz's fancy footwork is going to be able to thwart just the relentless pressure that Casey Kenney is going to bring. I see Kenney getting a lot of takedowns in this matchup. And even though Dominick Cruz has an amazing wrestling game and isn't someone who gets taken down a lot, I just think Casey Kenney is going to mix it up on the feet enough and be able to sneak takedowns in there and ultimately win 2 rounds. So I'm going Casey Kenney by decision. I just think he's going to be the better fighter at this point in their careers. So very fascinating to see if ultimately you're right and Dominick Cruz does win this one. It won't be a massive surprise. It's Dominick Cruz, and perhaps he does have a third title run in him. But I got to go with Casey Kenney in this one. So any last thoughts on this Tucson tussle?
No, yeah, can't wait for the dirty T